um, really bounce hard and get to 45, whatever it is, back to something respectable, or if something good happens, or is gonna just be like, all right, we're just done, stick a fork in us. So there's a couple ways to do that if you were going to play something like that. And one way would be to play a straddle, which would be the $38 puts and calls. The other way, potentially, one other way would be play something like the $40 calls, which are a buck 60, and something like the $35 puts, which are a buck. What are they? Buck 38. So your total cost would then be, what would it be? I don't know, almost $3, basically, 290, I think, 290, something like that. I can't add right now. So that would be another way to kind of play it, and then you're really just playing the volatility at that point. So this market really doesn't know what it wants to do. People are buying Apple, and some of the tech, basically because they don't know where else to put the money. And one thing that's interesting, I think, is that there are not a ton of sellers. Because if there were a ton of sellers, day like today, we would really be down a lot. I mean, we would have gapped down. I don't know if we would have just kept on dive bombing. There wasn't really a reason for that. I mean, it just made no sense to me that we were even like down what we were down to start a day. I mean, getting there, okay, but to start the day, exactly why are we doing this? But we probably would have just kept going, or bounced and then dropped again. Instead, what we're seeing that there's definitely some interest, buying interest here, particularly in the tech arena. And so I think you have to respect that. And one of the ways you respect that is by not standing in front of that. If you wanted to short something, as an example, then you'd probably want to look elsewhere. You probably want to look at the financials, because those stocks are lagging. I mean, you see Visa got upgraded today with, I think, an $85 price target, and the stock is ran to 73.60 and has had a really big reversal at this point, and is only up 25 cents. So that's where you kind of want to look. I mean, I'm not saying short Visa in particular, but if you want to kind of play this market lower, then that's where I would probably look, because that's where your laggards are. And one of the things that I always talk about, or talk often about, in classes and when we talk about trading, is we look at relative strength and weakness. Now, this morning on the gap down, I bought Baidu. I wish I would have bought Apple, but Apple was up, so unfortunately I passed on that. And I sold it for a decent profit. I didn't catch the whole move, but I was happy. So, but the reason why was because a lot of the weakness is related to the banking sector and what's happening in Europe. And Baidu is an Asian internet company, so probably not so affected by the oil cam or sushi, or because they're not a Japanese company, or by what's going on in Europe, because what the hell do they care? I mean, they may care on some level. I don't know. Maybe they're just nice and they care about the world at large. But the company itself, what are you know, what are you gonna do? So what? So what? We got Europe folding. So what? So that's kind of the thing. I tried to poke a couple things and that didn't turn out too well. One of them I'm still in a little bit of, which I'm not really happy about, but Regal Entertainment. Yeah. And I might want to mention, if you want to call in, it's 877-242-8212, 877-242-8212. And I'll talk about just about anything you might notice. I mean, I'll talk about the stock market, wonder as that might be. I will talk about porn. It's okay. I mean, you'll probably know more than me. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Or I'll talk about sushi because, I don't know, maybe you're in a place where there is none and you really go to bed at night thinking, like crying, not thinking, you're just crying. You're saying, life is horrible and I have no sushi, and it doesn't matter that I made $50,000 in the stock market today because I have no sushi. You might be doing that, really. And frankly, I wouldn't blame you. And I would actually say to you that probably if I was you, I would be crying even harder than you. So anyways, this is total ridiculous conversation. You guys are here to listen about the stock market. ES making a little move. We see the banks now trying to bounce. It'll be interesting. This is something to watch. I think that right now your best bet in this market really is to play the gaps and play intraday breakouts. I mean, I've talked about this ad infinitum, but if you look at the way this market is trading, nobody knows what the hell is going on. I mean, that's the truth, okay? People say we make predictions. Oh, I think that the Dow is going to 5,000, like I have said at some point, not this week. But who cares? Who cares? Because it doesn't matter. What is working right now is playing relative strength and shorting relative weakness, right? There were so many people coming on CNBC last week talking about British Petroleum. You should buy it. It's even at breakup value. It's worth $52. Well, you know what? Maybe it is, okay? And maybe it'll get to that $52. But if you listen to that stupidity and you bought British Petroleum thinking, wow, those little robots down there are going to solve the problem and all is going to be well, how'd you make out? Okay? You woke up this morning and you're down freaking $6 or whatever it is on the stock. So, I just don't buy this. Now, OIH will be interesting because, and I almost took this trade, and almost only counts in horseshoes, really. Trading, it's like kind of like a fish story. Like, oh man, I had it on the hook and it was like 7 feet tall and it was like, the Bigfoot of the ocean. Okay? So it doesn't really mean anything. Having said that, Friday, OIH literally went to, I want to look at the chart here. It went, it broke its 52 weeks low to the downside, which usually or often means lower prices. And I almost bought some puts on it. But again, doesn't really matter. It's not something I can brag about because, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? There's nothing I could do. So, but my point is, okay, what I'm trying to say? British Petroleum, I hope, just keeps going down into the ocean where the cam is. I hope British Petroleum goes down to the cam and we can watch it sink minute by minute into the ocean floor where all the oil is, and maybe they can clog the freaking gusher that's coming out of the earth with the stock